There's a story told about a young woman who went into a fabric shop and asked the clerk if she had anything that was white, but also made some noise when it would be rustling. The clerk found something and gave it to the woman and said, "What are you going to do with this?" She said, "Well, I'm going to get married in a few months, and my fiance is blind, and I want to let him hear me coming up the aisle, and then when the noise stops, he'll know that I'm standing by his side." It's a sense that love really makes us sensitive to the needs of the other. The word love is found 18 times in the second reading and the gospel reading. We're even told in the gospel that we are commanded to love. Love one another, he says, as I have loved you. And if we look at the love that Christ had for us, it's a total self-giving, a total self-emptying that he exercised for us, and we are commanded to do for the other. So let's look at three characteristics among the many that love would have. First, that it starts with God. Secondly, that it's local. And third, that it's social. The second reading reminds us, love consists not in the fact that we have loved God, but that God has loved us. God initiates the relationship. It really is freely given, and if we allow it, this love of God can transform our own lives. The love of God is the exact opposite of the old Smith Barney commercial. And when they were asked, how did you make your money? And the announcer would say, "We did it the old-fashioned way. We earned it." Not so with God. We do not earn God's love. That may sound apparent, but for some people it's not. They feel that God is always a reluctant lover, and that we have to do things to make him love us. But that's not the case. God's love for us gives us a dignity and purpose that really no one can remove. And part of life's challenge is to become more and more aware of the unique qualities that God has given us and that God loves in us. Secondly, love is like politics. It's local. It involves real people. We need to see the command of love to love applying to people we see every day. Family, friends, classmates, neighbors, and even enemies. Love is not simply a feeling that we have, but it's a decision that we make. A decision to treat the other as we ourselves would like to be treated. The old-fashioned golden rule of morality. Today, we as a society honor mothers, and it's a time to pause and to thank them for the self-giving love that they had or continue to have for us. But again, this is not something that should be confined to one day, but to every day. And finally, love is social. Catholic teaching is not content to say that the command of love is just something that involves me and you as individuals. Catholic teaching would say that we're called to translate this love into social justice, into social arenas. By this, it is meant to make sure that our society reflects justice, promotes human dignity, and cares for the least powerful members. Back in the 1980s, the bishops wrote a pastoral letter on the economy. And in it, they said that we as Catholics ought to look at every policy or every piece of legislation with two questions in mind. What does this do to the poor, and what does this do for the poor? Still valid questions. Love is not simply a nice suggestion. As I said before, it really is a command. Love one another as I have loved you. As we gather around the table today, may we remember how much we have been loved by God and how we are expected to love others at all levels and in return. But as always, easier said than done.